it's very surprising that when I joined PhD, I actually wanted to go into academia. I thought that, okay, I'm not cut out for industry and I do not really enjoy. I want to settle in academic life.
Welcome everyone. Today on Decoding PhD, we are excited to have Dr. Nikhil joining us. Nikhil's journey is fascinating, blending the worlds of academia and industry with a strong foundation in engineering. Nikhil currently puts his PhD in finance and accounting from IIM Bangalore to work as a lead data scientist for digital fulfillment team at Target Corporation. There, he leads the development of digital supply chain simulations, a powerful tool for business strategy. But Nikhil's experience extends far beyond that. Before Target, he served as a senior group manager for data sciences at WNS Global Services, where he mentored a team of data scientists in building applications for a wide range of clients. Interestingly, Nikhil's background isn't limited to data analysis. He began his career with a strong engineering foundation, having earned a Master's of Engineering from the prestigious Indian Institute of Science before transitioning to software engineering at Cisco Systems. This experience showcases his well-rounded technical skills. If that wasn't enough, Nikhil's academic passion is evident in his research consultancy and training experience at IIM Bangalore, where he not only explored the fascinating topic of investor disagreement in his dissertation, but also trained hundreds of students and practitioners in R programming and data analysis. So, Nikhil, welcome to the channel. We're thrilled to delve into your incredible journey and learn more about how your engineering background and your PhD have shaped your transition to industry and your success as a lead data scientist.
Thank you, Sanchit, for giving me an opportunity to talk here. This is a very exciting and a new forum, and where we can discuss our PhD journey. And I'm excited to be part about your new initiative.
Let's start with the first question. So, Nikhil, with such a strong technical foundation, what motivated you to pursue a PhD in finance and accounting?
So let me start by how I have gone through my journey. I'll just give a brief introduction. So as you said that I had done a master's, so I came from an engineering background. I also have a work ex of 4 years with Cisco Systems in software engineering. So somewhere I did not enjoy the field very much, and I was always fascinated by the field and the ideas, the core ideas in finance. So I always had an interest in finance, and the more I explored about the subject before I started my PhD journey, I always felt fascinated. I always felt very excited, and that just increased my curiosity to explore the subject. And hence I decided that a PhD may be a good idea, and I just left it to how the experience come. I obviously did not thought a lot about what I'm going to do, but I just thought that, okay, since I like the subject so much, I would enjoy the research process. And obviously, since I had a master's degree, I enjoyed the research process a little bit. I just explored the subject and I got more interested in it, and then I decided to go for a PhD.
That's a fascinating perspective on applying your engineering background to field like finance. Now, you mentioned that coursework played an important role in your development. Could you elaborate a bit on your experience with coursework during your PhD? How did it contribute to your overall academic and professional goals?
So what I realized when starting my PhD journey is that in a management PhD is very different from, let's say, an engineering PhD or a humanities PhD, in the sense that management covers a broad collection of subjects. I mean, when you do a finance PhD, you obviously have to have a good understanding of finance, economics, but you also have a good understanding of mathematics or programming or several other subjects like econometrics. So no one is going to have an expertise or a good exposure to all of these subjects. So there is something new for everyone. For instance, I had a strong maths background and programming background, but I had no idea of how economics works. And that was the most exciting part of learning finance, because now you can make sense of the numbers through economic reasoning, which is always more exciting. So that's the better part of my coursework experience. And others who came from different background, they had a different experience. For instance, some of my colleagues came from commerce or accounting background. they enjoyed the mathematics or the programming part of going through a PhD journey more. So I would say, since it is a big collage of subjects that you go through, you will find something or the other of interest to you in the entire coursework. You get to experience all details of finance from a research point of view. So finance itself has a lot of subfields like accounting or equity markets, debt markets, options markets, and all. So you get to have time and you get to have resources to explore everything in detail, and that allows you to choose your research topic or your future course of action because you have so much time to explore all these. So that was a very good part or a good experience of the coursework, particularly at the IIMs, which allows you to have a very detailed coursework.
That's insightful to hear how the coursework broadened your skill set. Now, your research experience sounds quite unique. How has that influenced your approach to problem solving and innovation in your current role as a lead data scientist?
What I've come to realize is that whether you are doing research or whether you're working in industry, ultimately you are solving some problems. So the more you explore any subject, or whether you explore more in industry also, you become a better problem solver. So experience in one definitely translates to progress or improvement in other. It may not be evident in the beginning, but it does help, because ultimately you are trying to become better at defining problems, trying to get a structure to it, and then applying your learnings to solve those problems. So that has always been the theme that has connected my experience so far, whether it's academia or industry. Finance is a very data extensive research, if you ought to do that way. So I had always enjoyed the challenges that comes with understanding data, getting the right data. How do you transform it? How do you make it in a form that can be used in your research? So there are a lot of challenges there. I always enjoyed those challenges more than the actual research design challenges. So those skills, I think, have translated me enjoying my industry work as well. Because in industry, post my PhD, I'm working as a data scientist. So there we again have to deal with data coming from very different sources, having very different quality, and all the things that we had learned in our PhD are obviously helping. Because in PhD, you have to identify the problem, solve the problem, and then come up with exciting or interesting results. And the current data science roles that I am exploring are somewhat similar. So I would say that the experience in PhD has definitely helped me in becoming a better person or better at my job that I'm doing right now in industry.
It's clear your research continues to inform your work today. Well, let's talk about your career path. During your PhD studies, how were you thinking about job opportunities? Did your perspective change on the job market as you neared completion of your program?
It's very surprising that when I joined PhD, I actually wanted to go into academia. I thought that, okay, I'm not cut out for industry and I do not really enjoy. I want to settle in academic life. It's just that I did not enjoy the kind of role I was doing before my PhD. So you have to experiment what works for you, what gives you satisfaction, and what you are excited about to work. So in my initial years, in fact, even up till my very last year, I was not considering industry roles. So when I was in my ultimate year, that is the fifth year, and little bit in the after my PhD as well, I was exploring all kind of opportunities, be it academic or industrial, and trying to weigh different opportunities. And it just happened that I got some opportunity to work in industry. I did not know how they work, what are the challenges going to be, and it turned out to be a very nice experience. But since I was doing this activity later in my PhD journey, if someone is trying to go into industry or thinking about industrial options, they can start doing this exercise earlier in their PhD career. For instance, after you finish your comprehensive exam, which is around third year of your PhD journey, you can start exploring internship opportunities. They may be completely self-driven. It may not reflect in your PhD credits or anything, but you will get an exposure of what kind of problems industries face and how your skills match there, or what new way of thinking you can bring to those problems. And this is what I have realized, that being a PhD student or a PhD graduate brings a very different perspective of solving similar problems that industries are facing. Because all others do not go through the rigorous journey that we go through by trying to solve whatever problems come in our research journey, because we have to find a solution and we have ample time. In other courses, people, there is a strict timeline whether you can solve your problem or not in a course or not, but here you have to find answers, and that develops a way of problem solving which may not get developed if you are not from a research background. So being a research background gives you a very unique way of solving skills. So if you explore those in industrial settings, even in an internship setting, or through some informal arrangements, that will give you a lot of experience to understand what are the problems. It will give you an exposure to show to others how you are different, or what are the new benefits that you bring to the table. And I will also suggest that several institutes have a placement process. Okay, typically PhD students do not explore those a lot because these placement processes are for industry. But if, let's say, someone is inclined to explore industry and corporate opportunities as well, they can at least go there, talk about the work they do, talk about how they can do things differently, and see what the response is. And I'm sure someone out there will appreciate the newness or the detail orientedness a PhD graduate brings to the table, and then take it up there, take it from there as you enjoy it.
Definitely. We need to explore more opportunities. But how does somebody from a PhD background convince the interviewer, who's an industry person typically hiring MBA grads from these schools, that PhD is also a valuable contribution?
So that's where being a PhD can shine out. So it can work both ways. The person who is hiring can either think that, okay, you are very different, I don't want to spend energy on you. Or you can do some homework and convince them that you are different, and hence you bring something new to the table which is not present. And what you want to talk about will become clear if you understand what the problems are there in industry. So you deal with some data problems while doing your PhD. I'm assuming that data collecting and data transformation or doing some data analytics is a big part of what you do. So you can transfer those learnings and talk in a way that industry people understand. To give a simple example, when me and my colleagues, we were going through our PhD journey, machine learning and data science had become a very big buzzword. But when we had entered, it was not such a case. But what we had done in our journey, right, we do a lot of data analysis, regression analysis, a lot of different statistical techniques, which are way more advanced. But it's just that we do not market those as machine learning or data science. But if you go to industry, if you say that you are very good or you are experienced in machine learning, they will get your interest in a jiffy. But if you talk in terms of statistics, they may not get very inclined. So the way you want to talk or way you want to present yourself matters, but the skill set is not that different from what industry is expecting and what you currently have as part of your PhD journey. So this is something that can help of how you present yourself or how you sell yourself to an interview where you want to display your skills or where you want to convince the other person that you bring a lot to the table. So those are the things that one should keep in mind. And also one should start exploring opportunities for PhDs. So nowadays I see there are a lot of job openings for PhDs, especially in tech roles, in retail roles, in high-end analytics roles. Because if you want to design an analytics solution for an entire company, you need to know a great deal about how to deal with data coming at a large scale. How do you clean those things? How do you run your models? So having a lot of experience working with data definitely helps. And going through job openings can also give you an idea of what companies are looking at. And one should always be open to explore all kind of job opportunities, whether they are academic or industrial, whether they align with their roles or not, because At the end of the day, you will learn about what you are missing and whether you are a good fit or not. For instance, when I was doing a lot of academic interviews, I realized that teaching is a very big part. We do not emphasize a lot of teaching in our PhD, especially at IMB, which is a very research focused institution. But when you go outside,
Right.
a lot of institutions require you to teach well. So if you are inclined about academic job and you enjoy it, then you should build your teaching skills as well. When you are in third or fourth year, you should talk to your seniors or the folks who have started working in academia about what are the things that are most important. And same with industry. I'm sure everyone will have some contacts or some seniors or some LinkedIn connects which are working in industry. Reach out to them. That's how I also did it. Reach out to them, try to understand what they are doing, whether you fit it or not. Try to utilize your alumni reunions where you meet a lot of people. I'm sure you are going to find somewhere where you enjoy the idea of what they are doing and also find the work very exciting and interesting. So it's all about exploring, whether it's about learning about new opportunities or whether trying different ideas. So the more you explore, the more you will understand what is it that you really enjoy and then take your call based on that.
In addition to the Alumni Connect and LinkedIn, how can I search for the kind of opportunities available to me in the industry? What keywords or job roles do I look up? Do these jobs specifically mention that they're looking for PhD? Or should I also apply for other job roles and see how it goes?
So the easy, or let's say the ready-made solution or ready-made path to getting all those things is through your placement processes. I'm guessing there is a placement process where PhD student at least can enroll and explore the kind of opportunities they get. And the second is obviously through off-campus route where you go out and search the job descriptions of companies. And I've seen at several positions, companies mention that they require masters or PhD is preferred. So PhD is not seen as taboo. Like 8 or 10 years ago when I was doing my masters, having a PhD was not seen as a great entitlement to your resume if you're looking for industrial jobs. But I don't think this is the case. At least if you're looking something in the analytics, machine learning or related fields, I don't think that having a PhD is seen anyway less entitling or is anyway seen lesser than industry experience. And by the way, the research that you do in your PhD, you should think of it as work experience as well. You see, it's all about how you market yourself. So when I went to industry, I would say that after my comprehensive examination, I've done 2 years of research work. It's work, right? You're doing it for PhD. You don't have to say that, okay, I was out of work for 5 years or 6 years and not doing anything. You can simply say that, okay, you are doing PhD and then you have worked on, and then you can list down your projects, your research projects, whether they are in beginning stage or later stage of development, and then you can talk about it. And when you talk about those things, you talk about from the requirements that are there in industry. For instance, in industry, people may not be very interested about your research findings, but they may be very interested about how do you went about developing your idea, or how do you went about collecting data, or how do you collected data from different sources and made sense of it, or what statistical techniques you used. So, and how do you manage your large projects? So think about it, just that we have done a lot of things in our PhD journey. Not all may be relevant. So talking to people and trying to browse through job descriptions will help you identify what are the key skills that are in demand, and then you can repackage your existing skills and then talk about them. Because underlying, I don't think there is a lot of difference. It just the packaging is different, whether you go to academia or whether you go to industry, but the underlying product or our skills are more or less similar. So that's why moving from academia to industry is not a big challenge after you understand that the talking points differ, but the underlying structures are more or less similar.
That's great for PhD candidates. So, this is your second job post PhD, which means you have 2 interview experience. Please also tell us a little about the questions or interactions during interviews. How do you, as a PhD candidate, face them? Are they different from other job applicants?
So I think for my first job, my interview preparedness was not up to the mark because I did not know what to talk about. Because as I said, I started exploring industrial options later. So, but I did talk about my projects, what are my skills, and whether they are a good fit or not. But when I did my second job interview, which is where I'm working currently, there I had a very extensive interview, and we went over my PhD projects in great detail. We went about what are the challenges we faced, and it helped that the people sitting on the other side where I'm currently, there are a lot of PhDs working there. They may not come from management, but they have done a serious amount of research in their past journey. So they understand what are the kind of learnings are there, what are the kind of challenges PhD students face. So they will try a certain level of maturity and depth in your answers, in your projects. You cannot just talk about from an overview, or let's say you worked on a project just for a month, then that's not something good that you want to put. So you want to talk about things that you have actually spent a lot of time, and you would have done this for 2 or 3 projects at least in your PhD journey, because that's a very long journey. So the more in detail you can talk about the problems that you faced, the solutions you found. So I'll tell you what I did. So before applying to industrial jobs, I took a pen and paper and tried to wrote down 10 or 20 different moments in my PhD journey where I felt that I've solved a very big problem, or I was stuck for a long time. What was the problem and how did I solve it? Once you give a structure to it, you will feel that you have actually become a better problem solver. And that structure can actually help you talk about or how you present your projects or your work X in your interviews. And when you talk about those points, again, you have to talk in terms of what the other person is looking. If they are looking for a technical role, then you have to emphasize technical points. If they are looking for an economist role, then you have to talk more about the economic findings or what are the implications of your research. If it's for an academic role, obviously you have to focus on your research methodologies, your research papers, your different collaborations, or your teaching preferences and all those things. So you have everything. It's just that what you talk to different people is different based on which interview you are going through.
Makes a lot of sense. Now, you experience both academia and industry. Can you compare your experiences in academia and industry post PhD? What are the biggest differences in terms of challenges, opportunities, and applying your expertise?
So I started my PhD in 2016, and since I had done my past education is in engineering, so and my work ex is also in software development. So when I started my PhD journey, I thought that this is not going to be very useful. But as it turned out, having good programming language is of utmost importance, at least in quantitative domains where you have vast amount of data that you can ask good research questions. So programming expertise was really helpful in designing new research methodologies or translating research ideas from papers. Let's say you read an interesting paper. Now you want to translate the same methodology in your work, knowing the details of how things work, because you will not always get the exact implementation details. You will only get high level details. Okay, they got data from one source and this is the method they apply. How do you go about doing this? And having knowledge about those statistical tools can really help. Moving from academia, I mean, if I were to compare my academic experience versus my industry experience, the challenge wise, I feel that both have their own set of challenges. And I'm talking just purely about intellectual challenges, problem solving challenges. The application area may be different. In PhD, you are just trying to find a better output for your research, or you find the right metric for your research. In industry, you are working in a particular product where you want to improve things. but the kind of problem solving challenges you find you encounter are very similar. That's why I said in the earlier also, having becoming a good problem solver will translate or will empower you in either role. If you are a good problem solver in industry, you will eventually transfer those learnings in academia and otherwise as well. So yeah, but obviously in academia you have much more freedom, which can be good or bad, because you don't have to have very strict timelines. But again, your approach can be very unstructured and you may end up wasting some time. So both fields have their own pros and cons, but from a from a challenges point of view, I think I had enjoyed the experience in both my stints at academia as well as industry.
That's a great point. In your experience, how much difference does having a PhD from a prestigious institution like IIT or IIM have when applying for an industry job?
I don't know about whether you it helps you in selection, but obviously it helps you in getting interview calls, because people really know about these brands, whether you're from IIT or IIM or an NIT. So it helps you to stand out, to shine out. But once you are in the interview, it's how you perform. So it can open the first door for you. It can open a lot of first doors, but from there it's all up to you. If you have it in you, then only you will pass the second. But obviously, having an IIM degree on your resume helps you to stand out while applying for industrial roles or for an IIT or from for that matter.
How would you differentiate between people who come to PhD with some industry experience and those straight out of school?
So in my experience, what I've seen is the folks who join straight out of academia, like they do bachelor's and master's and come to PhD directly, academics become a natural choice because they've never experienced industry, and academics has become an important part of their life, at least in the PhD where they spend a significant amount of time in doing academic research. But people who come from an industrial experience or working in a corporate experience, they can, I would say, weigh the two options in a more balanced way, and they can at least appreciate some of the pros and cons of the two because they have experience. And when it comes to whether you can apply your learnings from one place to another, it's yes, obviously you can apply your in learnings from the past, but it's more about how experienced you are. It will matter whether you have 5 years of experience or 10 years of experience, because you would have faced so many more problems. But in terms of skills, I don't see that either group is at a disadvantage, because everyone will have some advantages. For instance, someone who is straight going through an academic journey, they have a very easy choice. Age is also on their side. But if someone is coming with a good amount of experience, then they may have certain more restrictions. So again, I would say the only way to know is to try it out, and it does not harm to give a small amount of effort in trying out any opportunity. Okay, so whether be it's academia or industry, give it a try.
That's true. Now, what advice would you give to current PhD students or PhD students who graduated in last 1 or 2 years regarding the job market transition to industry, and how could they sell their roles and their work to the interviewers?
Yeah, I will talk about two different sets of group. First is the folks who are just trying to understand whether PhD is a good option for them or not. So my advice is if someone who only wants to go into industry after PhD, let's say they have no desire of going into academia, then I would suggest them to reevaluate their option, because PhD can be a very arduous journey. It can take a toll on yourself. And the point when you enter your PhD and when you finish your PhD, this is your prime working years, this is your prime age. A lot of things can change. A lot of us have our parents, we may get married. So a lot of things, what from the mindset you enter PhD and the mindset you exit, it may be very different. So do evaluate whether you just want to change, your current job, or do you really want to do PhD. If working in industry is something that excites you, I would say there are other opportunities that you can try before going through the PhD route. But if PhD thinking about a problem for hours makes you happy, if you can think about some idea for hours, if you want to explore something in excruciating detail, then yes, then PhD will give you opportunities and resources to do that. Now, if someone, let's say, is at the very fag end of their PhD journey and they are exploring what to do, I would say that if you are unsure, that's okay. I got to know I'm doing something very different from what I had imagined when I was doing my master's or bachelor's. So that's okay. Not knowing it's not bad at all. And the better way to understand what you really want to do is to start exploring, and start exploring earlier than waiting for your PhD journey to end. Because when you end your PhD, you can start feeling a bit of a pressure, whether you want to start a job, you want to decide whether it's academia or industry. So that question should not come at the very end. Start thinking about it at earlier stage. Start building your network with alumni, with friends who are working in industry. At least try to get a sense of what's going on, what are they doing, and try to understand those things from how you operate. So one thing is that, let's say if you were in their shoes, how would you do things differently? What do you feel are the points they are missing? These will give you talking points where you can differentiate yourself when you actually get a chance to talk about your work. So talk to as many diverse set of people as well, both from academia and industry. And in fact, I found that trying to trying to understand how great teachers talk about their subject in the class can also be a great way to become a good teacher. Because teaching is a very important part. And once you become an academia, you get a lot of satisfaction from your teaching part. Because research can take a lot of time for it to give you results. So be open to everything. Be open, have teaching stints as well. You can try out several different things within your institution or outside your institution, and try to explore whether you enjoy it or not. Try different research projects. Don't wait for the right idea to come. Similarly, for industry, don't wait for the right job opportunity to come. Start talking to people, exploring opportunities, and in fact, even go for an interview. Even if you know that you are not going to get it, even if you know that you are not yet graduated, so there is no point. But there is no harm in going through the process and trying to understand where exactly are you diverging from the requirements. Okay, so it's all about getting an understanding, and the sooner you do it, the better it is for you to be able to take the right decision when you are about to end your PhD journey.
Well, that fantastic conversation flew by. Dr. Nikhil, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing an incredible journey. Your insights on blending PhD with an industry career were truly valuable. I'm sure our viewers, especially your current PhD students, will find your experiences and advice incredibly helpful. We wish you all the best in your future endeavors.
Thanks a lot, Sanchit. I also enjoyed talking about all my experiences with you, and I'm happy about some of these experiences reaching the audience through your channel, and I'm very excited about the kind of work you're doing, because those kind of questions I had not thought about when I was starting my journey, and I wish there was a way to know, so that we can make a better decision. So all the best to you, and thanks for having me.
Thank you once again. And that concludes our today's episode. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below, and we'll do our best to respond promptly. Don't forget to share this video with someone currently pursuing their PhD journey. And remember to leave your feedback down below as well. Until next time, take care and all the best.